This is the new 2025 Kia Sportage, one of my favourite family cars, here refreshed for the 2025 model year. So you join me here today at the UK launch with Kia UK to show you around the car and take it out on the road and see what I think. Now, between this and the sister car, the Hyundai Tucson, I always recommend them as the two best options in the hybrid and internal combustion engine family car segment. But does this do enough to catch up to its sibling? And also, is it good enough to still take your cash in 2025 and take my crown as one of my favourite family cars? Well, that's what we're here to find out. So let's dive in. But before we do that, if you're looking for a used Kia Sportage, the best thing to do is contact us at Players Cars Premium in the description below, because we make car buying so easy. As low as 7.5% APR, free home delivery, 6-month warranty, and no need for emails. Just chat to us on WhatsApp or Instagram DMs. And if we don't have the car in stock, we'll find one for you. Simple as that. So get started by clicking the links in the description now. So then let's take a look around the new Sportage. We've got some updated styling here, but let's start with the simplified trim levels. The Pure is the one that replaces the 2 and 3 models, and I think this is a nice simplified lineup. Starts at £31,000 here in the UK, includes things like wireless Apple CarPlay, reversing cam, smart cruise control, automatic lights and wipers, and electric lumbar support as standard. Pretty generous, including all of the kind of safety systems and ADAS that you'd expect. The sportier GT line trim is £33,000. That has a lot of kind of exterior upgrades in terms of the styling, heated seats and steering wheel, and also tint. So I'd definitely say go for that one as a minimum, because you probably get a few grand off that anyway. And then there's the model I have here today, which is the GT Line S, starting from around 40,000. So this is a big uplift in price, but it is also a big uplift in luxuries and features. So this one has a head-up display, remote parking assist, power tailgate, heated rear seats, ventilated front seats, access to phone key, 360 cam, blind spot cameras, also ambient lighting, Harman Kardon sound system, yada yada, the list goes on. There's loads and loads of extras with that one. So if you're looking for a kind of more rounded luxury experience and you want something that's got all the bells and whistles, then the GT Line S is definitely the one to get. But that's not to say that the other trims are not generously spec'd. In terms of drivetrains, there are currently two options, which is a 1.6 turbo petrol, 147 horsepower, with either a 6-speed manual transmission still, which is good, or a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Or this one here is a 1.6 turbo full hybrid, which is a 6-speed normal automatic transmission, around 235 horsepower, so an uplift of about 10 horsepower from the last version, and around 280 foot-pounds of torque. They're good for around 45 mpg average, both of those, so it really depends on what you're after. Personally, I prefer the hybrid one because it is a little bit of a smoother drive and has a little bit more grunt. Most of them are front-wheel drive, but there is also an all-wheel drive option, which is only available on the GT Line S top trim at £44,000. There is also a plug-in hybrid option coming, very similar to the last generation, but no word on release of that one just yet. The paint on this one is called Blue Flame, and it's a £675 option, and I really like it. So what is new then for the 25 model year? Well, you can see we've got this revised front end with new bumpers and new styling, kind of to tie in a bit more with the EV range of cars. So you'll notice these new style star map lights with large LEDs that run down the side, and then this really accentuated front grille, gloss black on the GT Line and GT Line S models, and also these details down the bottom here. It's quite aggressive looking. There's lots of angles, lots of sharp features on it. I really like the way it looks actually, and this is borrowing a lot of design elements from the EV range, like the EV3, EV6, EV9 and so on. It's the same story with these wheels. These obviously are very similar to those on the newer EV line of cars, and you'll notice that there is some slightly less aggressive lines down the side of the car. It's made to look a little bit more muted, which I like actually. It's slightly less sort of angular than the previous one, and they've changed the way the window trims look down here as well, which I think actually looks a lot better, especially in this gloss black against this blue. It's a really nice spec, this one. And you'll notice very similar story at the back. So you can see here we do have some updated rear lights and rear bumpers, which make for a little bit more of a modern style. I think I do prefer it. I think it's just the right level of change for the Sportage, and to bring it in line to refresh it against all of their other cars, including all of the EV range. I'd love to know what you think of this new design. It certainly caught my eye when I first saw it, and I think this is a really nice spec for the car. I think they've made just the right level of changes here. It's not indistinguishable from the old model, but it's a little bit more than just a small facelift, I would say, and really brings it up to date in line with some of their other cars. As you can see as well, nice and aggressive with the indicators on, or the hazards. You can see that they really take over the car, and those running lights when you've got those switched on. I really like the way that looks. And then heading round to the back, you can see how they integrate as well into the rear light cluster, which I'm glad that both Kia and Hyundai are coming away from using those silly indicators at the bottom of the bumper. This looks way better. So let's head into the interior and have a look at the changes in there. So there is a touch sensitive area on the door for the lock as you open the car up. Nice chunky feel to the door, which is always really reassuring, and some really positive materials. They have changed some of these slightly, but pretty much the same as your previous gen. You've got the big openings for the door handles, and also got your memory positions for the seats on this higher end model, and some new trim, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But you also have some suede on the doors here, as you can see. Nice plush material there. This is nice material here. This is nice and squidgy here, and no more horrible gloss black plastics. They've done away with it, and this is so much better. I much prefer this. Decent switchgear and decent sized door bins that can get a little bit of a bottle in there as well. You can see Harman Kardon sound on this one too. Then as we look into the cabin, they have slightly revised some of the layout of it, and I think it's a really nice mix of materials in here, and I love the white accents in particular. So these seats, Kia just know how to do seats at the moment. They really do. These are so comfortable and they look the part as well. You've got a really nice plush headrest which has some adjustment to it. You've got the GT line inscription embroidered there and some nice contrast detailing, and on this particular model you do have ventilation as well as the heating option. These seats do also slide electrically, have electric lumbar adjustment, and a nice easy entry point. Not too much chance of getting your legs muddy either, because it's nicely covered by the door sill there. So let's hop inside and show you some of the other key differences compared to the previous model. So without the car on, you can kind of see what the layout looks like. It smells high quality in here, if that makes sense. It's been a while since I've been in a car that smells high quality from new. And the choice of materials in here is really nice. Like, you've got soft touch sort of pleather on the dash here. I know that all of the kind of leathers are kind of eco-friendly and vegan as well, which is a nice touch. And they feel hard wearing. My favourite part, I think, is that they've done away with all of the gloss plastic. You've now got this kind of nice textured finish. It's kind of like a, I mean, it is some sort of plastic, but it's got like a texture to it, and it looks really nice, and it creates a little bit of a contrast in the cabin as well. I like what they've done with it. Going to put my foot on the brake and hit start down here, just so that the car fires up into life. One thing to note is only this high-end GT Line S model has the larger cluster. All other models have a much smaller one in the middle, but this infotainment screen is standard. What it does mean is on this model it creates this nice kind of panoramic effect, which is really nice, and you do still have the existing Kia climate controls, where they've got the physical dials for the temperature control, which is really nice. 3 levels of automatic, which I love, and you press this button here and it switches to your media controls with volume and tuning. Nice. These are only kind of capacitive buttons, but it's nice that there are some physical ones there, and it's intuitive to use. This steering wheel is also new. I like the fact that they have incorporated the 2-spoke design in a better way than in other cars. I tend to think that the 2-spoke design is quite ugly, and I wouldn't say I'm a lover of it here, but the contrast helps. It's got capacitive sensors in for when you're using your kind of lane keep assist stuff, and I like what they've done here, where they've integrated these kind of satellite buttons for your terrain mode and your drive mode into the wheel. I think that's really good, the way they've done that, and hitting that, it's like a paddle, and it instantly changes on the screen there. So you've got eco or sport, and then your terrain modes on this side, again it's like a toggle. You've got snow, mud and sand. I tend to keep it in the eco mode, and I'll talk about why in a little bit. But yeah, super ergonomic layout. Of course there is a large transmission tunnel, there's no openness down here, but the materials are quite nice even down low, and everything seems really well laid out towards the driver, which is the most important part. Everything's really well damped, so for example when I indicate, it brings up the blind spot cameras, which is a really nice touch and I think really helps. This is available only in the high-end trim, and you also have the blind spot monitors on the mirrors as well. You've got your parking brake down here, and then your gear select is in the middle. I kind of prefer newer systems where they're column mounted now, but this does the trick. It just is literally turn it one way or the other. And you've got nice physical buttons here for your heated and ventilated seats and your heated steering wheel. I like the fact that they're all in one really neat place and easy to access. And this hides your charging and your phone wireless charger. So you've got a wireless charger here, and you've got USB-Cs as well, so that's nice, and you can tuck that away if you don't need to use it. Down here you've got some options for your hill hold assist, hill descent assist, and also your button for your camera. So if I pull up the camera, you can see we do actually have a 360 cam on this model, and it is pretty good as well. So I'll go into the kind of 360 view, and you can see pretty much thoroughly around the car. It's quite intuitive, and works really well. You can see how well it maps out stuff. You can see the Kia logo that's behind the car there that you saw in the previous shot. You can see how that looks on the 360 cam. Really nice system, and obviously it means that you can see the lines in a space really nicely. Makes the car super easy to park despite its size. Also in the middle you've got your cup holders. You press that and they come out, or you can tuck them away for some more center storage. And then a nice large center bin here with a 180 watt 12 volt outlet. And this comes down as an armrest. There's no adjustment in this, unfortunately, but I think it is in literally the perfect place, so I don't care at all. Then in your glove box, nice soft close, not much space in there, but it's a nice little space to get you by. And the integrated hidden vents in here now, very similar to those in something like an EV6 or an EV3. So it just looks more polished. It just looks more like a more refined interior, very similar to the EV line of cars, which I think is really good. And the fact that they've got this new trim and this white contrast, perfect. My other favourite feature about any Kia or Hyundai is this button here. This is the kind of driving assistance feature. So you've got your cruise control here, but this one, when you press it, it will turn on one touch driving assist for the highway. So when you're on the motorway, press this button once, the car will start steering itself, no issues. And you don't have to make micro adjustments because it's got a sensor in the wheel. So as long as you've got your hand on it, it will know to steer, and it works super well, super quick, super easy. And all of the speed limit warnings and bongs and stuff, you can turn that off with one button too. You press and hold the mute button. This is a hidden feature that not many people know about. Press and hold that and it will stop the speed limit warning sounds. Top stuff. As for infotainment, it's exactly as you'd expect from Kia Hyundai at the moment. So when you look at this center screen here, I've got a couple of options. When I press through this, it gives me a few different things that I can cycle through, including your trip information. So quite a few different bits to cycle through there, but nothing too exciting. You can't have full maps or anything like that, which is a bit of a shame. I've never been the biggest fan of this setup, but it does the trick, and it does change when you change into a different mode. And then the center screen, of course, being the latest Kia system, it works really well. You've got built-in maps and all that stuff, but you also have lots of new apps on here. So you've got YouTube and entertainment and games and things. They're kind of going a little bit Tesla-esque, where you've got your own integrated system, but of course it does support Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, which I've been using. It's got some other quirks like quiet mode. So if the kids are asleep in the back, for example, it will turn off the rear speakers. It will automatically shut the vents when you go through a tunnel. Lots of intuitive little features like that, but it works pretty well. And you also do have some adjustment in here for things like your Harman Kardon sound. So you can go in and adjust the equalizer, for example, which is always a nice touch. And you can turn off those beeps as well, by the way, so if you get annoyed by those. But yeah, lots of different options in here for different things, and you can also change the theme. So the gauges you can actually change back to a analog style. I almost prefer this style. I think this looks a little bit more old school. Also, again, this does change if you put it into the sport mode. This is a little bit more old-fashioned, but I do like analog dials, so I might actually keep it to that one. And then the head-up display is really good as well. You probably can't see it too well at the moment. I'll try and zoom in a little bit. Shows traffic sign recognition and your current speed and so on. So pretty good system. Overall, really intuitive to use, works really well. It's a shame there's no other input methods apart from the touchscreen, but generally you're going to plug your phone in and just use that, aren't you? So whatever. So yeah, super impressed with the changes that they've made. Really subtle changes, but these seats are fantastic. The layout's really nice. The tech works really well. And I think the changes, including, you can see the ambient lighting along there as well, actually, which is customizable. I think it's just a perfect all-round interior for your day-to-day. And then let's head into the back, where you'll find, again, some slight subtle improvements that have made a nice difference. You can see the door card is very similar, bit smaller, but you can probably still fit a bottle in there at a push. Again, the white makes a nice difference in terms of contrast. And you can see in here as well, the pan roof on this model, which is included in the GT Line S, by the way, makes a nice difference, and you can put the sunshade across that as well. But look at these useful features here. So you've got this nice big hook, which has a rubberized insert. So if you wanted to, you could slot like an iPad or something in there. It's going to block the view though, but it's useful for hanging things off of. You've also got little hooks on the back of the seats inside the kind of leg indents, and then you've got a nice big storage area. And then in the center, you've got another little storage bin, which probably would be useful as a bin for the kids back here. Your climate vents, which have the customizable control on, and in the side of the seats, you've got USB-C outlets. And I really like this because it means that you can plug your phone in without the cables dangling down and trailing in the middle. The transmission hump isn't too bad either. I certainly wouldn't want to be an adult passenger in the middle, but it's definitely not the worst I've seen in this class of car. So props to Kia for sorting that out. And yeah, it's just a big, spacious, open, airy looking cabin. The ISOFIX points back here are the kind that squidge between the seats, so you are bound to ruin the material here at some stage, which is a bit of a shame, but it does make it look nice and neat and tidy. And then in the center area, you've got a pull down armrest with cup holders as well, which make for a nice comfortable experience for your rear passengers back here. And then your handles are on the side there for the adjustment of the seat rake and angle. And then they also have runners for the seat belt, so when you're adjusting the seats and putting them down, these don't snag, so super useful indeed. The actual material quality of this vegan leather, I really like it. I think it's really nice, and the mix of that and the suede, it's the ideal combination for me. Stepping into the back here, we do have a really generous rear space, to be honest, and Kia are always innovating in this area, and this is something that I really do like. As you can see, I'm in the most reclined position now, and you can get a really decent recline on here. So I've got this seat in my driving position at 6 foot, and you can see I've still got plenty of legroom and actually a reasonable amount of thigh support, considering I'm quite lanky and have quite long legs. And as you can see, I can also adjust these seats to go really upright if I want to, which will increase the rear cargo space, but also allow me to sit more upright. But it's nice that you can get such a steep recline. Like, I could probably comfortably fall asleep like this if I wanted to. With this armrest pulled down as well with the cup holders, yeah, you could sink into a nice long journey back here. Even the seats have like slight indentations for your legs. And then of course you've got your hooks and your charging. Super practical space. Really, really like it back here. You can pop this rear bench, but there is no sliding like on some other rivals. But honestly, here I don't miss it. And let's take a look at the cargo area. Now this has remote tail and power tail on this model. So opening up reveals a super practical load area. You can see completely flat load area, and I mean completely flat, super easy to get in there, which is nice. And then this retractable load cover, which is really easy to use. Just give it a pull like that. And the whole thing does come out as well if you want it to, which I'll demonstrate in just a moment. You've got some useful tie hooks back here, as well as a 180 watt outlet, which is really handy. And then underneath the floor, you can see you do have a bit of additional storage in there as well, and it is an adjustable floor. You can put it down level if you want to craft a little bit more space, but personally most of the time I would leave it here just so you get that nice flat load floor. So to pull the parcel shelf out, it is literally as simple as giving it a little tug like that, and then the whole thing just removes and you can pull it out. So I'm just going to cast that aside for just a second. And then you've got a super useful 40-20-40 split, which means that you can, if you want to, just lower this middle section. But for now, I'm going to keep it locked in, because what you can do is literally just pull on these and it will completely flop those seats forward, nice and easy with velocity. So you can see then a vast area indeed to store any of your stuff, and a completely flat load floor once you push those down. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think I would like to camp back here, but you know, it certainly is achievable for me to fit in here and lay down. It's a large practical space though, and I think that most people will be very happy with it in terms of this class of car. It's quite easy to reposition these as well. All you need to do is pull them up, but if you want them in the more reclined position, you will need to go ahead and pull the lever and push them right back. So then, the changes they've made to the interior of this car, I think I'm really happy with. They've really addressed some of the key little concerns that I had about the previous model, which weren't many to be fair, but just little quality of life things and quality of the materials inside there. I think it's made a world of difference. So let's get this thing out on the road then and see how it drives. So then, out driving the Kia Sportage. Now, I've always said that I think this and the Tucson are up there with the best of the family car bunch, and this is definitely a refinement of that, because these seats are phenomenal. I've got the perfect driving position for me. I can adjust the angle of the seat. I've got my elbows positioned exactly where I want them. I can just really cruise along nicely, and I can even press the one button assist on the steering wheel to help me steer and keep in lane as well, making for really nice long journeys. I also really like the refinements they've made to the cabin in terms of these screens and the way they're positioned. I think it's just all encompassing. It wraps around really nicely, and the material quality, I can't tell you how much of a difference it actually makes in the real world. But in terms of actually driving it then, this hybrid is definitely my favourite option, because round town it will poodle along at kind of really quiet electric sort of part, and then when you kick the throttle or you go a bit faster, the engine will kick in. It can be a little bit rough when it does that at times, but you don't tend to notice it too much thanks to the standard 6-speed auto gearbox. I've just also pressed and held that button to turn off the speed limit warning sound, which it's such a lovely shortcut. I'm so glad they put that in there. Definitely not the sportiest car in the world. Like, you do get that little bit of body roll, get a little bit of understeer in certain situations, but that's not what it's really designed for. Yeah, chucking it round somewhere like this, I'm really pushing the car here, and I can feel that it does grip pretty well, to be fair, and it doesn't start to understeer horribly, which you might expect in a car of this size. Body roll is definitely tameable, but it's present, and I'm not going to say that this is the sort of car that you'd want to thrash around. It's really not, but for your day-to-day luxuries, it's really good. Again, another quick chuck in there. Steering is slow as well. It's not going to set your world on fire in terms of driving dynamics, but that being said, it handles itself okay and it's fine for day-to-day use. You can tell that the suspension and the handling has been geared more towards comfort than it has sporty driving, and that's absolutely fine because a lot of people that are buying in this segment really don't care about that. And when you do tend to find a car that has a little bit of that, it tends to be quite compromising in terms of those other features. I've been driving this mainly in the eco mode, and the reason for that is now, when you're in eco mode, the paddles on the steering wheel, they don't adjust the gears, they actually adjust your level of regen braking. So I can put it into level 3 regen braking, which is the strongest. It's not one pedal drive because of course it isn't an electric car, but what it does do is it enables you to have a really strong regen effect, which makes such a difference, as do the blind spot cameras in a situation like this where I'm merging onto the motorway. But yeah, if I was to come off the accelerator, the car starts to almost brake fairly heavily for me, which feels more like an EV, which I really enjoy. And the fact you can change that on the fly is really nice. But then if you select the drive mode and change that into sport, the paddles then become gear shifters again. So you can then play around with it. I wouldn't really recommend doing so though, because it is a normal like torque converter auto in this model. So that will be fun on your 7-speed dual clutch box on your standard petrol car, but on this hybrid, a little bit unresponsive and not much fun to play with. Definitely improves throttle response a little bit, but it's a bit laggy to pick up because of the fact that the hybrid then has to kick in the combustion engine to get the most power. There is like a kick down switch at the bottom of the pedal, which feels a little bit gross, and you can hear the engine does sound strained under that high load. I'm just going to put it back into your standard eco mode there so that the gears get taken over again. But yeah, that kick down switch feels disgusting under my foot, but it does the trick. It does get the car going and up into gear, but yeah, it feels strained when you're really pushing it. But again, how often are you going to be doing that? Braking feel isn't too bad. You can tell there's quite a bit of travel to the pedal, and you can tell that it's doing some regen stuff. They're not particularly sharp, but I also don't think that that's terrible either, because you know, you can tell what it's doing still. Again, it's just not geared for sporty driving. And this 6-speed auto box as well can be a little bit laggy when you're pulling out of a junction and stuff like that, but it's not going to be really a game changer for you. You soon get used to its responsiveness, and the little bit of torque from the electric motor does help as well. And of course, remember, this is why they fit the dual clutch box to the standard petrol model, because it's just that little bit more responsive. The key to this whole experience really is practicality, a really, really nice cabin, and tech that is useful and functional. Let's go for an overtake on this lorry. Yeah, it really does take a second for that kick down to become functional, but it's not terrible at all, and it feels really comfortable and planted on the motorway. That one-touch drive assist feature as well, I've just pressed it and the car is already steering itself in lane. I'm not even using cruise control, I'm literally just using the self-steering, and I love that. I don't like faffing about with cruise control all the time, and in a lot of cars you have to have adaptive cruise on for it to steer itself. And for me, I quite like to be able to control the pedals and just have the steering take care of itself, because it takes a lot of the concentration out. So really, this is the best feature for me. Visibility is pretty good as well. There is a large C-pillar, but honestly, I've seen far worse. The rear window is big, and the 360 cam, or even just the reverse cam, are really high quality. I don't know what else there is to say really. I've always loved these cars, and I think this is just a real improvement on an already really good recipe. It's definitely not going to set your world on fire if you're looking for something for sporty dynamic driving. You should probably look elsewhere for that. But in terms of your day-to-day ease of living, nice and refined, lots of creature comforts, as long as you can get a good deal on one. And also bear in mind as well that used pricing can drop quite a bit on these. So if you spend sort of 20k, you can find one that's maybe a couple of years old. So if you're looking for one used, obviously hit those links in the description that I mentioned earlier. But yeah, between this and the Tucson, I don't really think there's much need for most people with a family to buy anything else. Granted, there are lots of options out there, but I just don't think they do it quite as well as this does as a complete package. If I was looking to hoon down some country roads today, I'd probably be a little bit disappointed, but sitting on this motorway right now, I'm a bit gutted that I'm not taking this home with me. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you as always to Kia for inviting me down for the day to check the car out. And I do appreciate all your likes, comments, subscriptions, all that good stuff. It goes such a long way. If you're looking for a used car, check the links in the description below. Please hit the bell, all that good stuff. I appreciate any comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.